FromSoftware's may have enjoyed a massive leap in popularity with Dark Souls, but the developer certainly hasn't limited itself to a particular philosophy and method after releasing such important games. The move proved to be the right decision, as their constant experimentation and innovation led to the development of notable titles such as Bloodborne, Sekiro, and Elden Ring. However, as FromSoft plans for the future, it may also show adherence to its roots by making Dark Souls 4. The development of the 4th edition will definitely be a welcome return to form. The Dark Souls series was introduced as a spiritual successor to Demon Souls and made a huge splash in the video game world thanks to uncompromising difficulty, interlocking maps, epic legends, and a commitment to deliver a unique vision. Dark Souls was based on the foundations of Demon Souls and eventually paved the way for Bloodborne and Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice. Bloodborne and Sekiro have very different settings, locations, and combat systems, but they also feature a number of familiar Dark Souls systems and features. Elden Ring had combat that were more like Dark Souls, but still the biggest change from the traditional formula thanks to the proliferation of Dark Souls elements and at the same time the addition of a rich open world, the first in the history of FromSoftware. Dark Souls games, while trying to give the player some leeway through withdrawal opportunities and side-by-side content, were completely linear in design. This linearity may seem odd or restrictive at the moment, especially for players who return to Dark Souls after finishing Elden Ring, but it will give rise to several aspects that arguably have an advantage over Elden Ring. The dark and fantasy space of the series also opens the door to exciting and satisfying RPG systems that didn't exist in Bloodborne and Sekiro. The semi-linear design of Dark Souls games offers unique opportunities that are not compatible with Elden Ring's open-world design or Armored Core 6-base structure. While returning to the Dark Souls series' more limited approach may seem like a setback compared to Elden Ring's extensive map, its smaller range allows for a number of more detailed and concise environments. Elden Ring's most memorable locations are in many ways closer to the Dark Souls zones than the huge sites that characterize most open-world games, proving how effective custom and small areas can be. Essentially, the new Dark Souls will be smaller than Elden Ring, though it will be built with a higher concentration of memorable and custom-made locations. This approach to product design also helps speed up the game, as the game constantly evokes a sense of progress, forcing players to cross all areas on the map. While games like Sekiro and Bloodborne match the description of linear Souls-like day, they differ from Dark Souls in the combat system. Both games encourage an aggressive approach and do not emphasize different classes. For example, Sekiro looks more like a traditional action game than an ARPG. In some ways, Sekiro combat systems can be considered even better than conventional Souls-like campaigns, as they reinforce and rebuild the foundations of the genre. By returning to the linear, dark, and fantasy fundamentals of the Dark Souls franchise, FromSoftware can maintain classic combat mechanics while allowing for more variety. Although games like Elden Ring are similar to Dark Souls, the Dark Souls series is still a distinct and important part of the game's history, and there are undoubtedly countless fans who are ready to return to the simpler, classic Lordran fantasy space.